Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Feed the Matriarchy. Here with my permanent guest, Heather. She's
Still
always
here.
joining me.
Always
Still
here.
always joining me. Thank you, Heather. And another really amazing guest. I think
Yeah.
I say this every time where I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys, we have the best guest.
But
Is
this
just
one,
the best
we
guest."
really mean it this time.
This time we really have the best guest. I really mean it.
No, all of our other guests were also the best. So,
Yeah,
okay.
everybody's the best.
Okay.
It's not a competition.
But this is good. This is good stuff.
This is good. This is
Yeah.
good stuff. And fun fact, this is also someone that I stalked on the interwebs.
She
and
did.
like
Joe's becoming a little notorious with her stalking. She might.
I might have a thing that's
She
going
might
on here.
need to talk about it with her therapist.
I might need to go to my own therapist and talk
Yep.
about that. But Lu Chekowsky, I am so honored to have you. Thank you. We are so honored to have you, not just
Yep.
me. It's not just about me. How egocentric of me. We are honored. Heather's honored. And our listeners are honored. So like I said, we stalked you on the interwebs, and one of my first favorites, and a lot of my friends passed it to me too, was the bit that you did on I saw it on Instagram because I love Instagram, where it was like, you need a new face. And you're like, oh, I didn't know I needed a new face. It was
From
like
a couple of people, by the way, Lou.
that
Really?
one.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was
That's
It
very
made the
cool.
rounds. Yeah.
it made
That's
the
hilarious.
rounds because it's the messaging that we women have been like sent over and over again, and you just put it, you have and this is what we're going to talk about, especially with your new book coming out. You have a really great way of taking what we're all feeling, which is that pressure, right, and that push and that like monetization of shame, right, around us, and making us laugh about it a little bit and giving permission for women to just like kind of be like, fuck that shit, I'm not doing it, and I loved that. And if you guys haven't seen the TikTok or Instagram, go find it and watch it, because it will make you laugh and it gives you permission to let your face be. I feel like
It's good.
At least.
Thank
It's
you.
good.
Thank you so much.
So Lou, thanks for joining us today. And I'm going to give everyone, I gave them a little bit about your Instagram. Now I'm going to give everyone a little bit more about who you are. And then let's jump into it, because we have a lot to discuss with your new book that just came out. So Lu Chekowsky is a writer and Emmy Award-winning creative director. In her most recent job in the advertising industry, she was lead creative director for video at Facebook. Before that, she was the SVP of brand creative at Comedy Central, where she developed campaigns for shows like The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, South Park, Nathan For You, and Broad City. Oh my God, I love Broad City.
I
I love
know.
Trevor Noah too. But I just, like, reading your book, I was just like geeking out on all these things that you
Yep.
were. I was like, no way. Previously, she was VP creative director at MTV, where she made ads for Teen Wolf, The Jersey Shore, The Real World, and the Video Music Awards. Before working in entertainment, Lu was a creative director and copywriter at Wyden and Kennedy, where she oversaw work for brands such as Jordan, Noxzema, Delta Airlines, and the National MS Society. She is a 2023 New York State Council on the Arts, New York Foundation for the Arts Fellow in Nonfiction Literature, and her writing has been supported by Mass, MOCA, Vermont Studio Center, Craig Arden, and the Tin House. Her essays and poetry have been published in The Rumpus, Pigeon Pages, and Hobart, and her pieces about the cultural impacts of advertising have appeared in Ad Age and Moose by Clio. She lives in the Hudson Valley. Wow, Lu.
I know.
Thank you
So,
for gracing us.
Thank you for
with
having me. I'm
your
so happy to be here with
presence.
you. Thank you.
Lou's kind of a big damn deal. So
I don't know if anyone gathered that. Like, I was just kept going on her
like,
bio, and I was like,
You
still
could
reading.
have edited it. I wouldn't have been mad. It's kind of
Yeah.
a mouthful.
that
I
is
kind of wanted
all
to put it
impressive.
all out there, though. I was like, you know what? I'm not shortening this, because that's all fucking you. And that's like
Thanks.
pretty impressive. But I haven't even gotten to, I think, one of the best parts about you. Well, about what you've done, because there's so many great parts about who you are, but about what you've done, which is your upcoming book. By the time this podcast
Yeah.
comes out, it will have just been released.
Yep.
And if you don't own it, go buy it now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And we got the privilege of getting like an advanced copy, which I just felt like,
which is
so
kind of
excited about.
funny, Joe, because that we're telling people you got to go buy it now.
But it's
right?
actually called "Don't Buy What I'm Selling."
Yes.
But do buy this.
Except for this one. You should
except for
totally buy
this
this
one.
one. Yeah.
You should totally
Okay.
buy this one. Um, so I want to obviously center our questions around that, but we're probably going to get back into some of your work, obviously, in the agency, ad industry, because that's a lot of what your book's about. Um, to me, when I read your book, it felt like a memoir. It is, it's a memoir. It also felt like a media critique. And then it also told the story of your own relationship with your body. And they were like three separate stories, but all together. Um,
Intertwined.
intertwined, right? When did you realize that these weren't separate stories, but they were actually the same story? Or,
Mm,
maybe that was something that you thought about
Different
when you were
pieces.
writing. But they were all interwoven.
yeah, thanks for that question. I think this book is the culmination, as I say in the book, of about 7 years of leaving I got too sick to work in 2018. My last job, as you
Mhm.
said, was at
Mm.
Facebook. And in my process of healing my body and my mind, I started to try to write the story of what the hell even happened.
Mhm.
And I over all that time, I had sort of an initial view of the book, which I was framing as there was a working title for it called "I Exist to Please You," and it was basically
Mm.
about my life people pleasing. And
Mhm.
that proposal went out to publishers in 2020, and there were no takers, as is the publishing business. But I was sort of sitting with that idea of like just my history pleasing people, pleasing family
Mhm.
members, pleasing mass media audiences, pleasing
Mhm.
people at work. So that was sort of one thread. Then I spent maybe after that didn't find a home about a year or so thinking about my relationship with my mother and sort of like the long tail of grief. And in my book, I get into this. My mother was a very obese woman and was also very righteous and very
Mhm.
before her time in terms of like
Mhm.
body positivity before that was even a thing.
She
And
was a
she was like
force.
she was a
Yeah.
force, my mother Rose. And I wrote a proposal kind of just about my relationship with her. And then that didn't kind of really take. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it was over many years kind of making each of these beats and threads. And then in 2024, with some distance over being separate from my career, having time to process, I started to see how, oh, actually, this isn't, three different kind of ways in, or this is like
Mhm.
one project. And it became very clear how to thread them, for me at least,
Mhm.
together. But that
Mhm.
took time. That took a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah. What would you say the common thread was that put them together? Like, how would you describe that?
I feel like really it was all about my body. Once I really thought
Mhm.
about my relationship to my body, why I believed what I believed about my body, I really tried to get to the bottom of where I had assembled this idea that it wasn't worth very much. And it was a place of struggle for me. And once that started coming together, it was like, so I was like, okay, so thinking about growing up around my mother, who not only was fat, but had cancer from when I was very young. So just the idea of what is a body if it's not perfect, if it's unwell in some way. Then thinking about what I was taught as a child, growing up in front of the television in the 70s and 80s, and what I learned about being a body from that realm,
Mhm.
being a woman in work, and all the places I ended up working and chose to work in media where women's bodies are what's for sale a lot of the
Mhm.
time. And why did I choose to do that? And what was I trying to get out of that? So once I sort of identified like, oh, this is the story of my body and how it came to be that I believed certain things about it. And what am I going to do to try to unlearn what I knew and what I believe to be true after everything I've been through? So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You are hitting on topics that we've already, like, hit
Yeah.
on in the best way possible, because almost every episode, we talk about things related to messages that we took in about our bodies all throughout our life.
Mhm.
To the point that Heather still has the advertisement that she found recently of Get in Shape Girl, which was like a 1980s campaign for
Did
little
you
girls.
never
Did you
did
never
you
have
encounter that? Okay.
No, but I feel like maybe it's come across my consciousness. So take me through it because I don't think
Okay,
I had the
yeah.
same relationship to it that you did.
No, no. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was born in 76, right? So
Mm.
like solidly coming of age like in the heartbeat of the 80s sort of, right?
Yeah.
And and during like the whole Jane Fonda workout, fitness craze, like bless Jane, she's like figured some things out, in her middle ages and elder years, and I respect her deeply, but it was like that whole beat, right? And there was this product that was marketed to young girls called Get in Shape Girl. and it had like little leotard type stuff, and it had a really bad mixtape of like not any kind of real music, like Muzak, you know, that you were supposed to like dance around to, and then exercises you were supposed to do, and it was sort of just marketed as in like start now, start when you're young. So it was like to the whole like 8 to 13 sort of set, like very much tween set. And someone got it for me. I can't remember who. I probably asked for it, to be honest. But
Some
it had like
also
a
some
jump
adults, yeah.
rope and like little weights and stuff. And I would go out into the family garage and do my like get in shape girl at like
Mm.
age 10. And when we were first starting this podcast, I think that just really, it just sat with me hard for a moment. That like from my earliest memories of what it meant to be a woman,
Mhm.
to be a
Yeah.
girl, or just to be a human being sort of existing in this space. It was like, but you're not, but you gotta fix some stuff, you know? So it wasn't like, let's move, it wasn't the Michelle Obama, like, let's move campaign. It was like, get in shape, girl,
Keep it
Yeah.
tight.
right? Keep it tight, girl, you know,
Brutal.
at, marketed to
Brutal.
8-year-olds. So I think,
Brutal. No, I
right,
somehow
yeah,
bypassed me. I'm devastated on your behalf. That's brutal. Ugh.
you know,
And all the people
Yeah.
that were in their garage, all the little girls in their garages, right? I mean, what a
right,
sight that is. Oy.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about this concept with your body, right? Because throughout the book, you talk about how it was a vessel for so much, right? Like you would say that you would put, like it was carrying all of your grief. And you talk a lot. And I think in a way that a lot of people are going to feel relieved to hear, right? To see in the pages of like how they maybe have experienced stuff. The same for you. Like you would use food and your body as an outlet in so many ways. And it was both punishment and safety, right? Using the food like that was punishment and safety, and using your body like that was punishment and safety. Um, can you speak to what that experience is for you looking back and realizing all the different ways that you engaged with your body in that?
Yeah, yeah. So as you say, the book tracks, I think, my relationship with food and my body, kind of throughout, which again, further to the themes of the book, it's kind of like
Mhm,
front to back. Um, I would say one of the big differentiators of my evolution of my relationship to my body was that I sort of have like it's almost like BC and AD in terms of
mhm.
when I became aware that I even had a body.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was maybe 41. Like, I mean, I'm laughing because I don't know what else to do. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what I mean is there's this time of where it was such a reflex, L-E-X, not flux, although I had that from overeating as well.
Yeah.
But a reflex in my body, a response to my environment. It was a way to control. I speak about this in the book. It was so many things, and I appreciate you flagging that. Like, to be clear, I'm not saying it was one thing. It was 100 things that my
Mhm.
weight, my body, my eating disorder, or just the way that I ate, however you want to categorize it, did for me and against me. And I really tried to explore that in the book because there were times where, I even mentioned this in the book a few times too. There was a protection. It was a
Yeah.
safety. When my
Yeah.
mother died very young when I was 22, it was
Mm.
a way to bring her back to life. Now, did I
Mm.
know
Yeah.
that I was doing those things, that I was placing? I mean, because I literally gained about 100 pounds in less than a year after she died. Um,
Yeah.
there's no way on earth I could have articulated what I was able to articulate in the book, that that was a response to grief, that was a response to desperation. I
Yeah.
talked about, my mother having a very, her struggles with food in front of me and what I absorbed as a child on how to respond. So it was just a
Yeah.
pure reflex. And
Yeah.
then when I started to sort of evolve and try to like even just stop for a minute and say, so what am I working with here? And what do I think about my body? And what is it I want? What's the relationship I want to have with it? And it wasn't an overnight light switch, and it still goes on. Maybe we'll talk about this. This book
Mhm.
is not I have it all figured out. You should listen to what I'm saying. This is
Yes.
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
evolution of a lot of different ways to be and to understand myself. and
Yep.
Yeah.
and so when I say it was a before and after, I want to be really clear. It wasn't like, and ta-da, it's done.
It's
But it
not
was
a
like a
before and
literal.
after picture. Yeah.
No, but it was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should think about what goes in my mouth and what goes in my body. And I say this
Uh-huh.
in the book as well. Like I used to think I used to say this out loud. I am a head on a pair of feet. Like, I don't need to know about my body. I mean, I would say this, like, it's painful because I would say it very
Yeah.
publicly, proudly. Had too much
Mhm.
work to do. I was too important. I was operating
Right.
on these different levels, and I didn't need to worry about my body. I had other bodies to worry about. Thank you very much. Um, and so in that regard, it's been a journey. And until I was awake to the fact that I even had a body, it was almost impossible to alter my relationship to it. And that came
Mm.
only when it was able to come. I don't know that I could have made it happen any faster. And I'll just say this, like, it became a curiosity, reading, listening to other people speak on it, like
Mm.
going to Overeaters Anonymous meetings, trying to understand, like, people who had food addiction. It was a process. It was a long
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. One that again I think is so powerful to have you write about so vulnerably and so openly because
Mhm.
I mean working in the field, having recovered from an eating disorder myself and working in the field, I know for I know for so many people that shame just, like, eats you
Mm.
up, right? When you start to, like, just live in it. And then you were also in the belly of the beast where that shame was also monetized. So
Mhm.
to have to work on reconnecting to your body when you're in an industry that just is constantly telling women specifically, like, that their bodies are wrong and that for 10.99 they can get a new body or maybe more
Yes.
than 10.99. It probably is like 20 installment payments of 10.99 or something like that. Yeah.
Joe, this is the fascinating part about this and like reading this because Joe and I have been talking about we did this whole bit also on like diet culture and how you just always get sucked into like the next thing and how do we get
Oh,
off of
yeah.
this crazy cycle. And so reading through this, right? And that phrase, Johanna, you almost said it completely, but Lou wrote it, don't normalize shame, monetize it. Right. And
Yeah, I read that and I was like,
we
"Fucking
were
mic
like,
drop."
yes, this is what we've been talking about.
Not yes to the concept. Yes, because you
yes,
and Lou are naming what is being done.
like,
Yes.
yes, that's it. That's exactly it. And I wanted to ask, like how much of modern life for women, how much of modern womanhood is just built around keeping us in this constant cycle of dissatisfaction? Because Johanna and I have had that conversation. Like,
Yeah, we
Mm.
have.
yeah,
Yeah, it's deep. It's just embedded. It's embedded, and I think it's a very simple concept, like, in some way, like,
right.
it almost feels like oversimplifying it, and that's sort of maybe it goes back to my answer to the last question, which is, I wanna also have empathy for people that are unable to see it,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how long it takes to find
Yes.
it, and so when I say it's simple, I don't mean, you should be embarrassed if you haven't seen it or it's hard to unpack, and I say this in the book a few times too, like, I still get struck by ads and my own insecurities. Again, I'm
Yes.
not proselytizing some kind of, like, evolution of, I'm on some other
Right.
plane.
Yeah.
I'm
Me
not on
too.
another plane at all. I'm
No.
Yeah.
here among us.
Exactly.
But I do think when you can, isolate the very simple concept that if you don't feel less than in the moments you see this kind of material, it actually has zero effect over you.
Mm.
I really
Yeah.
believe that, and I think I think
Wow.
it's oversimplifying and da da da, and the AI will know what your fears are, and then they can tailor. I mean, sure, but I really do believe this, and this is actually part of like what I think my mission is with this book and with this moment in my
Mhm.
life is just to like seed that out there, and then what I do on social, just like
Yeah.
drop it out there. Like it's not 100% foolproof. It's not going to be 100% of the time. But if you can operate your experience of the world as you receive these messages and just think, "Oh yeah, I don't need that."
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
like it's just like, whew. Now to get to that point, again, I have to be very clear. It's not simple. It's very,
Mm-mm.
very challenging, and they make it really, really hard on
Mhm.
us um, to reach that level. And that's why I think it's like a practice too. Like I feel like I often think, and again, I'm not some like evolved yogi, but I practice yoga or meditate. It really is related to those kinds of practices. I feel like because if you can just kind of be in the zone when you're hit with these things and like recalibrate, oh,
Uh-huh.
and then this is another thing I talk about with the shame. These messages, in terms of media education, these messages have both the suggestion of your problem and the solution tied together
Oh,
always.
yeah.
And
Yes.
so when you receive that feeling, if you can also sort of extrapolate, oh, I didn't have that problem until I saw that.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now I have that problem. Is it real? Is this
Yeah.
a real problem I'm having? Or is this something that was sort of like implanted into me? But again, I say this with a lot of grace for how hard it is.
Yeah.
And we're up against a huge battle because so many of these messages have billions of dollars behind them,
Yeah.
you know, and robot insights that tell us what our fears are. You know,
Yes.
it's a war, and it's not easy. So I think
Mhm.
I can also say I think when people sort of can absorb that too,
Yep.
they can feel less. 'Cause sometimes I think people feel bad that they get sucked into it. Then that adds to the shame.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just created
I
a new
bought this
shame loop.
thing and I have a new shame. Yeah. And it's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. That's not the point. Um, that's not the point, you know, to double down on yourself for when you do hit, you know, purchase on TikTok shop. Like, okay, yeah, that's going to happen. Like, that's what it's
Yeah.
designed to do.
Yeah.
Um, and they did their job. But maybe next time you see it, you can breathe and just kind of be like, oh, did I really need whatever that is?
Yeah. Did
And
that
on
I'm
and on
gonna
and on.
look at I'll look at you, Heather, for that
You
Korean
know.
skincare.
I
Did that
know.
Korean
Those
skincare really
Korean
fix everything?
skincare people got me, man. They
They
got
totally
me.
got you.
I was
They got
feeling
you.
dehydrated. My skin
It's
felt dry.
That's what they do. Did it work? Well, did you like the skincare? Did it work for you?
I found it really tedious.
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, how long? Really? I'm supposed to lay here like this? Like, this is. And
and
then,
that's I think part of the other thing too is it's like we want because of the way that
yeah.
the ads are set up and because of what it looks like, and you're speaking to this and on a whole other level. It's like it's supposed to be instantaneous. Buy this,
Mhm.
and again, I think that like some people can do that skincare routine and actually like do like enjoy it and have like and feel
Sure.
good with it. And it's
For
not
sure.
about the skincare routine. I'm not
No.
actually
Yeah.
against like skincare products, but I think like
Exactly. Yeah.
part of what it is, it's like you click on something because you're like, this is gonna fix it, and it's gonna fix it in like in a 3-second window, and I'm just gonna feel better now. But you don't
Well, I
realize,
mean, on the
yeah,
cover of my book, which I wrote all of these, you know, there's like all these little stickers. This one says, you know,
Yes.
buy this and never die.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
this one says "Knew you again?" question mark.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
the last New You was not really the New You, and the one before that was also not the New You. But you really got to get another New You, like on
Yep.
and on. And also I'll just end here. You know, this is an ad, but your body is very bad. You know, it's right here on the cover of my
yeah,
Your
book.
body is
yeah.
very
It's
bad.
very bad.
And yeah, and it's like, you know,
It's amazing.
that's the joke because it's like it never ends, right? It never
No.
fucking
Never
ends.
ends. Never
And
ends.
and again, I really want to be clear, and you just called this out too. Look, it's cool to go to Sephora sometimes and treat yourself a little bubble bath or whatever.
Absolutely.
Like I'm
Yeah.
not raging on people who enjoy that
Right.
as an outlet for themselves, and I really don't want to give that impression. It's the mindfulness and the
Yes.
Mhm.
awareness of your participation in it that I think can heal you of so much of the ongoing kind of hamster wheel of the thing. Oh, my book just fell down.
The
Yeah,
pressure, yeah, of the
yeah,
pressure of it.
totally.
Your book demands to be heard also.
I know.
It's like
It's
I
like
want
not
to
your
be
time.
in things. Want to be, and it should be heard. It definitely should be
Yeah.
heard.
I wanted to follow
Yeah.
that thread a little bit more, the marketing thread, because I think it's amazing what you've done with your career and how you frame and talk about it in your book. And so I think Joe and I were looking over some questions, and I think this one makes a lot of sense to me too. Like when we talk about capitalism absorbing feminism, right? And you know,
Mhm.
and capitalism monetizing feminism. And honestly, like in the year of our Lord 2026, May, I'm kind of like, what, is that totally bad? Like now here I am every day, like staring at the backlash, you know, going like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Mhm.
miss a little bit the Dove Real Beauty campaign, just a smidgen.
That's so
But
interesting.
Yeah.
you
Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
Yeah.
but at
Mhm.
the same time, like there's now I'm being sold empowerment in a
Mm.
way that's like
Mhm.
also, you know,
Mhm.
and that's another marketing campaign, and kind of like, all right, is that okay? Is that good? In some ways,
Mhm.
like,
Mm.
you know,
Mhm.
is it better than the alternative? I don't know, right? I mean, you worked on all this stuff, right? So
Well, I mean, I did not work on Dove, but I came
okay,
up in the ad business around the
yeah,
time in this exact year that campaign launched,
yeah,
2004,
Yeah.
and I write about that a little bit in my book. And I came up at Wyden and Kennedy, I write about this, getting recruited into the first year of their advertising school in 2004. And
Yeah.
then Wyden and Kennedy is the agency for Nike. And so that was how
Yep.
I came up. And 2004 was, you cited Dove, the heyday of we can
Yeah.
do good through marketing. We can
Right.
do good. And that was, and not to spoil, but I'm happy to talk about it. Then I tried to start my own ad agency after that, that marketed to women in the ways that you're talking
Mm.
about, Heather,
Yeah.
with respect and with understanding of their challenges. And
Yeah.
what I want to say is, you're speaking to somebody who's like far too radicalized to see nuance in this at
Okay.
this point.
Well, that's fair.
Um,
That's okay.
and and it's really, we can agree or disagree. And I get what you're saying, which is like, well, it was still cool to see different kinds of bodies in ads. Like I do miss that as well. And now empowerment only can look like Kim Kardashian, for
Right.
Nike or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer. And I agree with you, but I also think
But
it's more honest,
mm,
uh, because I feel like that little blip that we had was
Mm.
still about choosing to be behind something, but not with your whole throat and not with your whole
okay.
chest.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it was its
Yeah.
own kind of
I get that.
moment. Like again, I give this example in the book. Dove was owned by at the time by Unilever, which owned Slim Fast. They're now
Mm,
different companies, but at that time you're speaking of, they were just doing what they thought they needed to do to sell the shit,
mm.
Yeah.
and they were talking out of both sides of their mouth as a
Yep.
company, and I find that is really disappointing. And I think that's one of the thesis of my book, which is I thought I could change it. I thought it could be evolved.
Mm,
And again, I would happy to have this discussion. I'm sure some people in advertising will have a far different point of view who are still in the business, would have a far different point of view than me. But I just believe at this point that just a rotten, it's just a rotten industry, and
okay.
it
Yep.
operates from a place of, um, you know, it's just not sincere. And so
Mm,
Mm.
when a brand is trying to uplift you and then still sell you,
yep.
it's just still problematic. And
Right.
They're always gonna be
that's
selling.
how I
This is
feel
good.
about it.
Yeah, this is
Well,
good.
I mean, you got told that by Gloria Steinem, like, how many years ago? And it
20 year
stood holds 20 years ago.
22 years ago, actually.
20,
Yeah.
22 years ago. But I
Yeah.
was thinking, Heather, as you were asking that question, like, it now I'm gonna muddle my way through this. Lou, help me with it. It's almost like that the tongue in cheek, or like the don't look behind the at the man behind the curtain sort of campaigns with the Dove ads, like, led us to this, because it's all just still
Mm,
marketing around women's bodies. And
mm.
it's not necessarily like, hey, there's not one way to be a woman, just be yourself. It's still selling you something. And so we almost trusted it more. And
Mm.
then the more that we trusted, the more it could sell us on other things too.
It led us here.
It led us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah. But again,
Yeah.
like, you know the industry more than I do, but that was kind of what I was thinking as we were talking through that question, and even, like, as I was reading the book, I was like, "Oh, we got to here on a very honest path." Like,
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
Y Yeah, I mean, I think I wanna be careful 'cause, again, like, I don't live in the forest, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I live in a house, and I've been to the mall, and I buy
Mhm.
things, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it kinda goes back, why I'm conjuring that is to say, I participate in the world that I exist in, and the
Yep,
world I exist in
1000%.
is littered with these messages and capitalism. It's the structure by which the
Mhm.
country I live in, America, operates. Like, and so to say all that, it goes back to my initial message, which is just mindfulness, just awareness
Yeah.
of our place in the sea that we live
Yeah.
in and the air that we breathe. And this, like, we're a lobster in a pot. This is boiling around us all the time.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
can we, like, come up over the side sometimes and catch a little
Can we
break?
breathe?
Like,
Breathe a
yeah,
little? Yeah.
yeah. And so to me, I feel like the question of what's in the ads is like almost like, it's not irrelevant, but again, you're speaking to somebody who's been through the gauntlet. Like, I just
Mm,
Yeah.
don't see the nuance. And again, and I also want to say this to whoever might, hear me on this. There are good people in this industry who care a
Yeah.
lot and
Yeah.
still hold on to the idea of changing things from the inside, and do at times. And there are, nonprofits who need the same kind of, if you the same tools that make capitalism ads are the same ones that nonprofits need to get their messages out. And I was
Yeah.
fortunate enough to work on nonprofit campaigns in my career, as you said, like the National MS Society. So what I mean is, I said it's rotten to the core. I want to be clear. I'm not talking about the people. I'm not talking all the people, like this is just
Yeah.
like a
Yeah. Yeah.
system and people
Yeah.
participate in it and work in it because they want to pay their bills and then they want to pay their mortgage
Yep.
and they want to send their kids to go. So
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
like the more you zoom out, the more it's like, whoa, this is actually oxygen. Holy shit.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
so I tried to change it. My point of view, as one person, it's just like it doesn't want to be changed. It can't be changed. Okay, so now what? Let me try to bring some awareness to it. Let me try to bring some context to it. Let me try to speak on the things I know and just give the layman like a little bit of tools. And then another thing, which you may get to, and why I'm thrilled to be in this moment of my career is like I'm not perfect and I made shit that
Mm.
made you feel bad. I feel terrible about that and I can't change it. But
Mm.
here's another tool for you. When you see a perfect image, you need to know. There's no, I mean, again, now we're in an age of AI, so I don't know, but there's like
Yeah.
a team of people that
Yeah.
are rippling around it that are
Yep.
imperfect and are working to make this image so.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and
Yep.
if you just zoom out ever so slightly, there's super imperfect people with eating disorders and prolonged grief
Yeah.
disorder
Yeah.
and like weird feeling disorder, whatever. Like, I mean, and that image is giving you that feeling. And this is like another
Yeah.
tool I'm just trying to offer for people to navigate this stuff.
Mhm.
You're trying to take people behind. I use this already, but like it's just such a perfect analogy. You're trying to take people behind the curtain, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Hey, there's a man behind the curtain. Like, do look behind the curtain. No, it's
Yes.
there. No, there's somebody pulling the strings." Like, and
Yeah.
I love it. The eating disorder therapist in me, the body image therapist in me, is like, "Thank God you're saying it because I know I sit with people day in and day out who are like
Mm,
obsessed with the thighs that they see right on the like
yeah.
on the perfect model, and I say photoshopped, 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 and to have somebody that's
Yeah.
actually naming it, like literally saying, I watched people Photoshop an already like physically like fit person's thighs to make them smaller. Like, once
Yes.
that's like, I know it's
Right.
crazy, right? Just crazy. But naming that is just, it's helpful for somebody that is trying to like stack themselves up against this unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, I really hope so. I feel like that is like half of the battle. And do you hit it every swerve every time you see it? Like, no, this is what I mean by we are outnumbered by
Yeah.
the velocity and the weight of the messages and the financing of them.
Uh-huh.
But I really do believe that just bringing that curtain back ever so slightly can change your relationship with it. And I think that's maybe my message, which is I don't know that it can be changed. I don't know if we should waste our energy trying to change it. I think that's a lot of what the content I make on social media is about, is more of just like laughing in the face of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to diminish the power and the pain that people have, but if you can just kind of see like it really is
Yeah.
to me a lens click, like when you're at the optometrist and like here or here, it's like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
saw I just
Yeah.
saw something that I didn't see before, and it,
Yeah.
like, moves it can move you, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a
You
great
had the comedy to
analogy.
it. It's like it's like the other one that you did, which was like like my body's not right. Okay, your ass needs to be bigger, but
Yeah.
not that. Not you're like, well, but like this? No, not like that.
Not
What are
like
you not
that.
getting? What are you not getting here?
Yeah.
And I
Right.
I I love that reel because you ended it with like, can I just like write it all down for me and I can light it on fire? And
Yeah.
you just gave everybody permission to just like light it on fire. Let's
So
just like
great.
fucking like burn the whole thing down.
Yeah,
Which
that's it. That's it, and I
yeah,
think that that's another, like, I had another video, about, like, how desperate it is for brands, like, "Oh, you wanna spend $40 billion trying to get me to eat McDonald's?" Like, "That's pretty
yeah,
desperate." McDonald's like,
yeah,
why do you need me to buy your McBurger so bad?" I'm like, "Why do you need," like, just if you can just kind of imagine the effort that's put towards trying to get you to engage with these
yeah,
things, and we're all trying to
yeah,
find our power in, like, these really impossible ways, but to me, it's thrilling. I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't work on me, but good luck with the next
yeah,
person."
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like it's a way to kind of, take
Shift
your
it.
power back, shift it, yeah.
Yeah. I want to read an excerpt because I'm going to take us back if it's okay. Can I read a little excerpt from your
Yeah,
book?
definitely, thanks for asking, yeah.
Because I want to take us back to some of the well, I want to take us back to what you were talking about with your work and your career, because I think you put it really well in this little soundbite. And then I want to ask you more questions after this based off of like how you started to connect to your body again. Um, so maybe you'll recognize this part as I start to read it. It really hit me. Um, it was in the final parts of your book around when you started working for Facebook. Instead of taking a long vacation or writing Lean Into BDSM Boogaloo, I devised a new plan. I wouldn't leave Comedy Central to lean in further to my own needs or write down the batshit stories of my life or forgive myself for my real and imagined failures or get healthier, smarter, more centered, or more myself. No, what I would do was lean myself over to the other side of the country and walk in the front door of the world's most efficient advertising machine. I'd begun my career in newspapers, which were eaten by the internet. Then I moved on to magazines that were eaten by the internet. I love this part
I
because
know.
you just put it so perfectly. After that, I talked dirty on the telephone, eaten by the internet, and to ad agencies. The internet ate those too. Then I moved over to television, which was in the death throes of being eaten by the internet. The only place left for me to work was the internet. But I couldn't see that after I did that, the only thing left to get eaten would be me.
Hmm.
Oh, you put it so perfectly.
So
So
Thanks.
good.
you
Thank
were
you.
kind of like describing going deeper into the belly of the beast.
Mm.
Like, and kind of think, and when I was reading it, I was like, she's constantly sort of thinking like, okay, just if I can get a little further into this, like, maybe this is where I make the change, or like this is going to be like the part that I feel like really clicks, or I've got this part. And then you end it by saying the only thing left to get eaten would be me. And that to me was like all around that disconnect with your body and all of that like turmoil that was in your body. Can
Mm.
you speak to that a little bit?
Well, yeah, thanks for calling that piece out. That's one of my favorite pieces as well. And I feel like in this moment we're in where, Facebook just had a huge layoff and so many
Mm,
people I know are struggling to
Mm.
find work, which goes back to the other, I'm going to answer your question, but it goes back to the good people work in these fields who
mhm,
have good intentions and are trying to survive our moment, right? And
mhm,
Yep.
and as they're walking this road on these different kinds of jobs, like the floor is falling out under all of
Yep.
us, right? And so
mhm, mhm.
just I think that section really speaks to that moment that we're in also. I was
Yeah.
just a little ahead of the game. Um, in fact, when I left in 2018 and started telling some friends I was going to write about this experience, they were like, "Well, what if you don't say anything too bad? What if you want to go back to work?" And that was
Oh.
really a generous idea. But what's crazy is nothing I did even 8 years ago I could go back to because those jobs don't exist anymore. But that's a whole other
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of my body, I would just say I think there was an idea in me, and I don't, about my career sort of defining me and being close to these places of power, so-called power inside of them, working at the levels I was working on things that a million people could see once I approved it and at noon, like by 8 o'clock at night, it had so many views.
Mhm.
Even though I was nowhere in it, nobody knew I had anything to do with it. It was, it was an addiction of a sort. Like, it was like, I was
Mm,
just like and I was just like, that means I'm okay. That means I'm okay. I'm okay today. I'm okay today. And I was so disembodied, which I was talking about, like, when I was able to
mhm,
kind of even and I had started the process, which in the book I talk about, I was learning to box, and I get this is like a low like a slow moving process, but by the time I got to Facebook, I thought, I have to take this opportunity because it's where all roads are leading in my career and I have to take it. I felt as though I had no choice at all. Um,
mm,
and the intensity of the work in spaces like that, and we know this very famously in tech in general, it is a 24-hour a day job. There is no rest.
mhm.
You need to be committed to your employer. You need to prove that all the time. And I just think I really thought that I had no other options in my life.
Mm.
Mhm,
I just really felt
mhm.
like this is the golden ticket. I say this in the book. At that time, it was voted the number one company in America to work for. I thought I have to take this opportunity, and
Right.
and maybe this is more to your question. And my body can wait,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
Yeah.
but what I learned was that's not a real thing. That's
No.
not a real thing. It's not a real
Yeah.
thing. So, my body was like, "We actually can't wait, and we're gonna do XYZ, these million ways that your body's gonna break, and we're gonna give you no choice but to decide on your behalf that you're done."
Mm.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
and that I think was terrifying, and I'm so happy to be here today talking to you because it was pretty scary that maybe that was gonna be the end of the road for me. And I think that moment, and all that fell out of that is why I'm even able to talk about these things in this way, because I felt the power of my body and it decided the direction of my life, even though I was doing everything I could to
Mm.
override my body. And
Yeah.
once I felt that, I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I think I have to listen to it, because if I don't, I'm on the next train out of here. Like, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a real reckoning for
Yeah.
Yeah.
me.
It
Wow.
it demanded to be heard. What would you say
Mhm.
to anyone that's listening that, that is scared to listen to their body, is scared to reconnect? What would you say? This is a very therapist-y question of me to be like,
No, it's
if you hear it,
interesting. It's
you're like,
interesting because
here's the
my first response is not to double down, right? I don't want to, like, it's tender. It's a tender thing.
yeah.
And sometimes your body, well, let me not say yours. In my case, my body had some really difficult messages for me that were not easy to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I understand the fear of it. Um, but what I would say is that it knows more than you.
Mhm.
Generally, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, the
Uh,
wisdom of the body. Yeah.
and to listen to it could yield surprisingly positive, results. At least it did in my case.
Yeah, at least. What do you think you were most afraid of? So I should have asked I asked the questions in the wrong order because I asked the question I should have asked you and then I said, "What would you say to somebody?" So let's go back for a second. Let's go back to what
Sure.
were you I mean, you write about it in the book, but I'd love for people to
What was I
hear
afraid to
more
hear in my
from your
body? Is that the
body.
question?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, in my case, I will say I was afraid to feel the depth of the grief of losing my beautiful fat mom really young, and the pain of growing
Yeah,
up with a sick mom who had cancer basically my whole life.
Yeah.
yeah,
That was a profound level of loss.
Hmm.
So many people experience loss in a variety of ways. I definitely thought I was the only person in the world who'd ever lost a parent. Like, for a while, like, I was sure of it, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I've come
yeah,
around to, like,
yeah,
okay, girl, that's a universal experience. But when it was happening to me, it was like,
Yeah.
but what I was afraid to hear it because I thought the grief would, like, suck me into a black hole into the center of this earth. Like, I thought that I wouldn't
yeah.
survive hearing how painful that loss was. That was one thing. Um, and I think I was afraid. Yeah, okay, good therapy. Good therapy. Maybe I'm having an
I
epiphany
told
here.
I'm a therapist, man, and you're having an epiphany. Oh my god, I'm so
No, but
excited.
I think I was afraid to be wrong.
Yep.
Uh Because what
I.
I mean is, and I think I talk about this in the book somewhat. Yeah, I was filled with a lot of anger, and I wanted
Mm,
to be right. And I
mhm,
also, we don't have to get into it too much. But not only was I fatter than I am now, and I was a lot bigger. Um, I was like, you want, like, I was in the world, like, you're gonna, I wore horizontal stripes, and I
mhm,
was fucking fat, and you
Right.
better
mhm.
talk to me about being fat, and I know you're talking about me being fat, and when I'm on the airplane, like, famously, I saw a woman texting her friend, "I'm next to a fat bitch on the plane," like, these kind, like, I was just like, "Yep," like, I'm everywhere
Uh-huh.
I went, I was ready to be proven that I was bad, and everyone saw it, like, my relationship to my anger about my weight,
Mm.
and, like,
Yeah.
so I didn't wanna lose my relationship to that power I felt. This is a
Yes.
Yeah.
little bit it's a little layered, but there was a lot about that for me as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's powerful. And for you to say that too and to spell that out is so vulnerable and powerful
Mhm.
because it gives all of us permission to be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think for
Yeah.
me, like coming into myself, I'm cruising into 50 this year. I mean, I said I was born in 76, so here we are. But I have finally figured out that I can be wrong. That is okay.
Mm,
Mm.
That
Yeah.
is like that I don't fall apart and the world doesn't fall apart and everyone around me doesn't fall apart if I'm wrong.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of power in it, Heather, too,
Yeah.
like what you're saying, like, talking about the vulnerability, like, that vulnerability power, they're like, to me, I mean, again, I wrote this whole book, like, it's stitched. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you kinda can't have one without the other, and,
Mhm.
in my book, like, sometimes I'm like, "Am I being too mean to myself in my book?" And I tried really hard just to represent, when I was maybe not too nice, like, to myself, but I also tried to represent myself with my flaws and
Yeah.
Mm.
have grace around them.
Yes.
Uh, And that is very powerful. But yeah, I held on for a long time that I needed to keep my body a certain way to not be fucking wrong. Like I have it,
Yeah.
and and that has passed. That has passed, thank
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You arrested your body arrested. Yeah.
You can
Yeah, your
your
body
body.
your body also self-arrested, like rescued you a little
Yeah.
bit,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, and I'm very grateful to it.
Yeah.
And I try to take as good care of it as I can, which, again, is a whole other realm of this discussion, which is how do you do that without falling into these traps that
Right.
and so
Mhm.
what does it mean to what does it mean, right? To
Yeah.
Yes.
be in a good relationship with your body. And I think that's like a person by person
Yeah.
fucking
100%.
thing. Like there's
100%.
no blanket prescription for that and only you can know. But uh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a heavy thing.
Yeah, so much of that actually comes back. I mean, it's not necessarily the theme of your book. You have a lot of different themes that I think, but like a lot of it is like a coming home to yourself and like an actually starting the conversation between your mind and your body and letting your body guide a lot of what that looks like.
Mhm.
What does it mean to be in a good relationship and what does it mean to take care of your body? Your body's going to tell you, but you have to actually like start to listen and give it space to like actually,
Mhm.
And that's
to do that.
hard. That's
That's really
hard.
hard.
This whole, like, just listen to yourself. I it's funny because people have been telling me that my whole life, right? Or that and don't take it personally, which were those are two things that I was like, what do you even mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
what do you, so two things, don't take it personally. I was like, I don't know. I'm a person in the world. Everything feels personal. I don't know.
yeah,
I was like, I don't know what you mean by that. And then just listen to yourself, right? And I was
yeah,
like, yeah, if I could, believe me, like
yeah.
I don't know. Don't take it personally. I finally figured out what people really meant was like everybody's up in their own ish and not
Mhm.
Mhm,
everything's about you. It's a
mhm,
it's
mhm.
about them. They got their
Yeah,
own stuff going on, man. They're showing up as their own selves in their own world. Like they
yeah,
don't,
yeah,
that's what,
Totally.
finally that hit me. I was like, "Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah." That makes,
Yeah.
and then listen to yourself, man. That one I am still trying to wrap my mind around it, but I think for me, it's meant like it's okay to be wrong.
mhm,
And and in listening to myself, I don't, this I for a long time I felt like, well, I couldn't trust myself unless I knew I was always going to be right. What would be the
yeah,
what would be the point of trusting myself unless I knew myself was always correct? What would
Mhm.
yeah,
how else could I know that? And that's not what it means, right? And I think this is just like sort of this eldest daughter perfectionist, crap that whatever. Everybody brings their own stuff into it. But how do you just kind of get quiet?
mhm,
How can you quiet yourself and
Mhm.
mhm,
calm down enough and stop and pause enough
mhm,
to
And
just
that's the practice. I mean, again,
yeah,
I'm no guru, I'm no professional yogi, but those practices of those realms have, I think, been pivotal to me. Acupuncture, I have a wonderful acupuncturist I take yoga a couple times a week. I just went swimming today, and I don't mean to prescribe workouts.
right.
That's not what I'm talking about. But like one of my head, I was swimming before I came here, which is why my hair is still wet. My face is under the water and I'm in my own mind and there's no screen in front of me and it's just me and the water. And again, this is for me.
yeah,
To be super clear, that may not work for someone else. But you asked, how do I get quiet? And it's just literally finding time in my life to be inside my own imagination and my own mind. And that's where I find it. But there is a line in the book when I'm still not very good at it, when I had something, surgery in my middle part of my body, and I have this line, message received, fundus. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
that clear. Like
yeah,
my
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
like it was like screaming, certain parts of my
yeah,
body.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
I didn't need to do yoga to hear that, right? I was doubled
yeah,
over in pain and it was happy
yeah,
to tell me these things. So I'm just trying to give you the spectrum. Like I think it can be a screaming kind of response. It can sometimes be very quiet. And
mm,
it's just like anybody, if you're at a party and somebody is really quiet, you lean in and you're like, I'm sorry, what? But if
yeah,
somebody's like
yeah,
yelling at a party, sometimes you're like, I got you, bro. So it's like, what's your relationship to kind of the message and where do you want to stand to receive it? You know?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't listen when it's quiet, then it's gonna start screaming at some point.
I do
So
think that.
and
Yeah.
a little bit of both. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, I think you already spoke to this, but I mean, you might have beat me to my question, but let's get a little deeper into it. After everything that you've experienced, everything you've written about, like, what do you think freedom looks like for you now and going forward? Freedom in your body, freedom, freedom in your mind.
Mhm.
What do you want other people to
Well,
know about that too?
yeah, that's a beautiful question. And as you know, as the book is entering the world, and I hope it finds its readers and resonates with people, I think more and more. To me, freedom just looks like using my voice in my own tenor and tone, and my own confidence that what I want to say and who I am in the world is just where it needs to be, and then
Mm,
letting kind of the rest of it um move past me, or like only picking up the things that I want, like just it just feels like confidence. And I don't mean it in a girl, jumping off, jump doing like a high kick and an
yeah.
confidence. I mean it like just it's almost like a steadfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just placed on the earth. I'm just like I'm on the earth, and I know who I am, and I know what I'm doing, and I trust it. And I'm not always going to say the right thing. And I'm going to make mistakes and all these things, but like I'm generally coming from a place of confidence in my own voice and my own ideas. And again, after the book grapples with this, but after spending, a lifetime and in a career hiding behind famous people and big
Mm.
brands and big budgets, where I was never allowed to be. Not allowed, it's just not part of the deal. You're just not
Mhm.
Yeah.
seen. The famous person that you're writing to is seen, and the company is taking credit for your language because they have shit they need to sell, and that's just how it works. But in those spaces, I was never, there was no permission to believe that my own voice coming out of my own body was worth much. It was only
Mm,
valuable when it was coming through other lenses. So freedom is losing my relationship to the belief that there is someone better suited to live my own life than myself.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's you.
Whoa, that's good. Wait, freedom
That's a
is the
soundbite.
belief that wait, say it one more time. Say it again. That was so good.
That there's someone better suited to live my life than myself. I've let that
Yeah.
belief go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm really struck by the fact that those words that you wrote for Michael Jordan, like, years and years and years ago, I mean, they were like, you had, like, Derek Jeter and, like, all those people, like, staring people in the face, but, like, and so it was kind of an aggressive, like, I'm here, like, I'm in your face kind of, but, like, right now, you are embodying those words, but in a quiet way, like, they're yours, they're not his.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not loud and aggressive, it's quiet. It's just you, like, taking
Hmm.
care of yourself and you, like, you having the patience to, like, to show up for yourself.
Yeah, that's some hard fought shit though. I mean, that's what I mean by like
That's
my who I
yeah,
was. If we had met like 15 years ago, I think I was maybe operating from a little bit more of an angry,
yeah,
gruff, a little more like
yeah,
inserting I don't really feel the need to do that these
yeah,
days. So that's also I'll be 53 at the end of the month that my book comes out. But
yeah,
I think that could just be timeline of where I am in my
yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Um, but I'm curious about it, and I like that observation. I'm myself, and I hope I draw people to me that want to be with me, and I'm not going to try to like convince other people. Like that's sort of how I feel about
yeah,
the book too. It will find its audience. I hope it will find the people that it's for,
For sure.
yeah,
and
definitely.
beyond that, like it's not for everybody, and I don't want to assert that it is. So that's
Yeah,
sort of how I feel about my whole life. I think at this
Yeah.
yeah,
point.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good way to
because 'cause you're
be.
comfortable with you. Yeah, because you're comfortable with you.
Most days, you're catching me
Yeah.
on a good day.
Nothing's ever perfect, right? Like, I
Yeah.
preach this
Totally,
shit all the time, and I can still wake up and have, like, a bad day or a negative
Yeah.
experience with myself, and it doesn't mean that
totally.
it doesn't mean that it's not still there, it's just there's on and off days. We're
That's
not aiming
right.
for perfection.
Yeah.
Everybody go buy the book. That's my, like,
Thank you.
summation. It's so
Thank you.
good. It's so good.
And there's an
Oh,
audiobook version that I read as well, which I've been listening to the cut, and I have to say I'm like, "Okay, audiobook." Like it's
That's
fun, so you can check
great.
it out
yeah.
too.
Okay.
Cool.
That's
I didn't know
cool.
that. I love that. All right, I'm gonna close this out with our question, which is a summation of everything you've already said. I mean, essentially, like it's just, but give us 30 seconds. Give us that soundbite. Lou, what did you have to unlearn to stop shrinking and start taking up more space in your life?
Yeah, I had to unlearn that my own voice was not valuable. That's it. That's it in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
Yeah.
I had to unlearn that my voice had no place in culture, in the world,
Mhm.
that it was too feely, that it was too over the top, that it was too emotional, that it was too fat, that it was whatever. I had to
Yep.
learn that my voice is mine and it has a place
Yeah.
just like everybody's voice has a place in this
Yep.
conversation that we're having in life. And there's no reason that I should invisibilize myself before other people try to. There's plenty of people trying to invisibilize a lot of folks right now, and I'm not going to do that job
Mhm.
before it hits me from the outside. I'm not
Right.
going to do it
Yeah.
first. I'm not going to do it
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
That's
that.
good.
I love it. Your voice is your voice. And
Yeah.
it's a
It's really
powerful
good.
one.
Thank you
So
so
thank you
Really
much.
for it.
good. Really
Thank
good.
you.
Such a good conversation today. Thank you so much, Lou.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Thank you
We've super
both.
enjoyed having you. And like I said, just one more time, get the Audible book. Is it on Audible? I don't know.
It's on
Get the,
Audible. You can get it on
yeah.
Spotify. You can get it on, yeah, all the audiobook
Anywhere that
places.
you get all of your audiobooks and where else can they get your book? Can you just close us out with telling us like where the different places are
Yes,
that they
I
can
mean
get
you can get
this?
it at any independent bookseller. There's a link at
Love that.
Hachette, bookshop. You can get it all over. Yeah, it's wherever books are sold. You should be able to find it.
Don't
Perfect.
buy what I'm selling. That's the
Love it.
name.
On breaking up with advertising and finally learning to love my whole fat self. That's the entire title.
It's
Yes.
great.
It's
Thank you.
great. It's for
Thank you.
go get it, guys.
Thank you both.